Tell us a bit more about your background, like your childhood. Were mum and dad very entrepreneurial, so it's kind of pushed you into this lane? Or, as you say, were they and I hate using the word stereotype because I'm all about finding the anti-stereotype. So
Yeah.
if you guys didn't have the balls to like go and publish videos, and if we Asians are supposed to be meek and quiet, like we obviously wouldn't be speaking to each other. So were you always creative, and were your parents kind of behind that?
Yeah. So the answer is my parents was your typical Asian parents, very strict growing up. Forced you to do tutoring, do Kumon. And yeah, growing up, it was all about study. Um, and but once you're in uni, and I broke a lot of barriers, they became very open-minded. So about the things I do. To answer, whether or not they were entrepreneurial, they were.
Yeah. And
But
I think that's the key though. Like, I think a
mm,
lot of people miss out on this idea. They kind of
mm,
think that, oh, well, yeah, I guess like the way they raise you is the way they raise you because,
mm.
imagine coming from a country, losing everything, and
Yeah,
then
exactly. Yeah,
you have to start from a complete, ground up, right? So
yeah,
it's almost like we don't have time to really monitor what you do day to day. So our
yeah,
answer to it is make sure you get to university, and the rest, you'll sort out. But we kind of, I feel like there is this myth out there that Asians aren't risk takers. But hello,
that's not
like,
true.
that is so not true,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
when I think about, my family and the people who have like really stepped it up and really decided to just go out and do their own thing, they're the ones that are like, that they have a really, they're doing well, I mean
mm,
in kind of the terms that, in Western society, but they're doing all right. But it's like this idea of being able to take a risk even if you don't, like my dad was trained as an astronautical engineer and did his degree there,
yeah,
but he worked as a chef.
yeah,
I'm sure the last thing he was thinking about in like his shoots was how to cook fried rice. Not
mm,
that it's a bad thing, but he didn't grow up thinking this is what I was going to do. But
yeah.
it's that risk taking, right? It's kind of being able to do what you have to do to get what you want.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So yeah, completely, I really resonate with what you said about first generation immigrants. They came here with nothing. So they just had to do what they needed to do. And sometimes, maybe not my parents, but I do know some parents pass it on to their kids, and that's how they grew up with or how they survived adulthood. And that's what they want their kids to do, like,
Yeah, yeah,
just do the grind, the 9 to 5. Don't worry about anything else because it won't work. They just shut them down like that.
yeah, yeah.
But I was fortunate to, to have my family really eventually support what I do, both my hobby on YouTube and my actual work.
Mhm.
Because when you start doing things and then when they start working, even though it's against their advice, when they see it start working, they eventually come on
They
board.
just cling on to it as if the rest didn't happen, right? They
Yeah. So
love
that,
erasing history.
yeah, pretty much. So I'll get questions from my parents. Oh, when are you guys filming? I'm like, oh yeah, soon. In the past it was like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's good to see that change. But that change, it's like, you just have to be confident with yourself, with what you're doing, and with your friends that are involved as well. And if you have that confidence, it's like you can do it. So yeah, like your parents will come around eventually. I think, yeah, I've chatted with a few friends numerous times regarding this topic. So for me, it's very like set in stone, as in um, refined in the way like I think about it. So yeah, if feel free to challenge me on on any of those themes, if you like, Julie.
No, I kind of agree with you, Lawrence. Is it's kind of the idea that I think more of us should have this better understanding of the fact that we are very capable, and whatever gut ideas that we have, we should really listen to that intuition. And I think what goes wrong down the track of ideas and being able to execute ideas is this idea of being perfect,
Yeah,
and sometimes it does serve us well, and in other times it doesn't. Like
yeah,
the idea that you're not going to fail, because I'm sure, chatting to you and chatting to the guests that I've had on the previous shows, is the idea that they will fail and then they quickly move on from that failure.
mm,
Whereas I think, as like, I know for me, being Chinese Australian, like getting marks to get into the course that I really wanted to do, the idea of failure kind of didn't exist. It was, well, you have to get 9 out of 10 in this essay. You have to get, at least above 60% in mathematics. And the idea that it's black and white, I
yeah,
think is just so detrimental to what we can do. Like, it kind
yeah,
of restricts us, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because I'm sure if anyone were to do like a high school reunion, the ones that are doing the best isn't is never, it's always almost never the ones that you expect, right?
mm,
You kind of
mm,
expect the ducks to do the best, or
mm,
the school captain to do the best, but it's usually, I found in my experience, it's usually the one that's really quiet, that's like, you didn't even know they went to your high school, that are the ones that are doing well,
yeah,
because they're the ones that I think they learn through osmosis and they learn through experiences. Well, I have to map my path out, and I just can't give up, and things can't be given to me easily.
mm,
I actually have to work for it. And the idea of being rejected, or people saying no to you, they just move from it much quicker.
yeah, yeah,
I feel like that's um, a big issue that kind of holds people back, and it doesn't have to.
yeah.
Um,
I agree. Yeah,
yeah, because I like, and another thing that I really love about influencers or YouTubers, but at the end of the day, everyone's content creating, so everyone is like a producer, or is, you don't realize it, but um, you are kind of you're putting out entertaining content, right? So
mm,
you have to explore, you have to experiment, you have to do all of that, and you can't be restricted to failure. And
yeah,
I kind of feel like a lot of influencers or YouTubers, they're just like, well, stuff that, I'm going to do it myself, and I'm going to listen to my voice. And throughout these interviews, what I've learned is the people who really follow that in their daily lives, offline and online, in their business, out of their business, they're the ones that are really flying, because they don't give zero fucks of what happens next. They're just kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
going and doing their own thing.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, to summarize, your point, and yeah, what you just told me is, yeah, pretty much they're not afraid to fail, and that's something that, I learned maybe about 7 years ago, but I learned it through, like an extra program at Monash. I think it was called the Cran Lana Colloquium. I can't remember now. It's been a while, but pretty much, a lot of people, they're too afraid of failing, and that's like the biggest roadblock.
Yeah, it's a roadblock, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
massive. Yeah.
yeah. So the way I see it, it's like, and the way for ending startups, it's really more like try again, keep trying, and that's why they call it grit, because you just
Yeah.
keep trying until you succeed. So yeah, everything, yeah, it's just, I guess, like, a lot of people worry about their image and what they look like, and that ties into their self-confidence.
Mm.
So if you can, get past it, you don't have to succeed to be confident. You don't have to, you know, get approved from, like, you don't have to be approved externally to be confident, right? So if you can, master that and have your confidence come from inside you instead of externally, you won't be afraid to fail. Because for me, it's like I failed so many times, and each time I learned something from it,
Mm.
and I've improved. no matter what it is, either work or, even on YouTube. And the results speak for themselves. So yeah, like, have no fear. Like, there's that stuff is really hard to teach, because sure, I can say all this and it sounds nice, right? But until you experience it yourself, you won't learn it.
Yeah, it's so
So
true. I think that's a really big, great point. It's like no matter how many books you read on motivation or leadership or failing or like learning your lessons, or how many profiles you read of, KSI, Ninja.
oh, they
You
have
know,
profiles. I never knew they had those. Yeah.
yeah, no, Christmas time, I bought a book
Oh, okay.
for
Yeah.
my cousin, and I
Yeah.
actually, had a read through. And
Yeah.
yeah, the idea that, it all kind of, you have to really learn it through yourself. That's the
Mm,
only opportunity, that you get to really put it into practice, right?
yeah.
Otherwise, how else would you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.